All right, we made it. This is the outer wall, and we're sitting at the edge of the outer moat too. You could see the castle peek out from the tree line. And this is where the dino sits. Prepare for attack. Just kidding. But we got a little closer into the castle courtyard. There are actually two moats and two walls around this castle. It's really cool. I normally try to avoid touristy places, but here we are. Yeah, and even though I normally avoid them, I just decided to come out today because I finished The Rings of Power, which, all judgments aside, I still chose to watch it. Even though, I mean, for all its problems, I still chose to watch it. And then a lot of Lord of the Rings clips and The Hobbit clips started showing up in my feed, and I started watching the old speeches and the old battles, and it just made me feel like having an adventure. I actually wanted to go to the old growth forest in Nara because there, well, an old growth forest, it's called a primeval forest too, or a primordial forest. No, I think it's a primeval forest, but yeah, these are forests that have not been, well, they've been continuous forests for thousands of years. So everything is like super old, and the vegetation is just, I don't know, it has a different feeling than any other forest. I wanted to go there, but Nara has a lot of deer, and I read that the deer can sometimes be aggressive. So, yeah, I kind of don't want to go, and my knee was bothering me, so that also played a small factor into me choosing not to go. Uh, but I think I should be brave. Next week, if my knee feels better, I probably plan to go there and walk around. Just, it's such a beautiful forest, and yeah, I'd want to go visit and wander around for a little while. But we are in at Osaka Castle right now, and while we're here, we can take a moment to complain about the tourists. I've been living around local Japanese people for a while, and yeah, I forgot just how loud, not only vocally, but physically loud tourists can be. Um, Japanese people just have this way of being in places and not being physically loud. Like, it's something, I guess I knew about it, but if it really stands out once you are around non Japanese people. Um, yeah, and then if they're from a Western country, it's even a bigger difference because their bodies are also bigger, so any physical loudness is amplified by that. Japan, it's been like in a lot of Reddit articles or in the news that Japan has been having, or I guess a lot of Japanese people are complaining about the number of tourists. I haven't been here before, so I can't tell if this amount of tourists is larger than previously what they had. But I definitely can understand what they mean just because of, yeah, the people here. I mean, just walking here, uh yeah, there was some, I think, Chinese kids. They were speaking Chinese, climbing up the trees. I don't know if you're allowed to do that. I know if it were my personal tree, I would climb it just because I'm one person climbing my tree. But I don't know. Japan is like a, so some societies are like, you're permitted to do something unless expressly forbidden, but Japan has the vibe of you're forbidden to do something unless you're expressly permitted. So I didn't see any signs saying don't climb on the trees, but I don't know. You're in a public place. You probably shouldn't climb the trees. But yeah, the parents just didn't care, and I was shocked. Nobody else was climbing trees either. So like, you'd think the parents would get at least that awkward feeling of like, maybe they shouldn't be allowed to do this, but yeah. Oh, and yeah, I don't know. Just there's a Starbucks here, and I was in line, and I don't know. The Japanese person came up to me and asked me if I was the last person in line, and I said yes. But then this Australian lady tried to cut in front of him. And why did that happen? Well, there's like a void space that's like a long corridor to the bathroom, which I left open ahead of me so that I wouldn't have to deal with moving out of people's way who were trying to go to the restroom. So I passed that spot, and the Japanese person behind me in line just also decided to leave that void space open. But then the Australian saw that void space open, and then also the like 4 or 5 people behind the Japanese guy, or maybe she didn't see it, so that's why she decided to cut. But she just stood in the void space, and I told her like, hey, the line's back there, uh, and we're leaving the space open so that we don't get in the way of people leaving or entering the bathroom. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just part of my personality too, but I hate being in people's way, and then I also hate just being like a physical nuisance, and I hate really loud body language unless I'm talking with people that I know. But in public, I don't know. Japanese people are just very quiet physically, in addition to being quiet vocally, which I appreciate. But yeah, I don't know. They're spending their money though, so I guess it's good for Japan. Anyway, that was my little rant for today. I think I'll just try to avoid the touristy spaces still. You know, there's actually one castle that I do want to see that will probably still be very touristy. And it's a golden castle. It's covered in golden leaf, and the views there should be nice too. I'm considering going there, but it probably should be less crowded than Osaka Castle, because Osaka Castle is like the main attraction. Um, yeah. So even though I don't like crowds and I don't like tourists, I can probably check out that golden temple. But that's it. I just chilled underneath these trees, close to the second moat, in like an elevated, quiet area to decompress a little bit after wandering around. I didn't go inside. I heard the line was too long, and I don't really care too much about being in closed spaces with a bunch of people. But yeah, enjoy this footage. I just sat around and people watched for a while. And now I'm just editing it all together before I go play some board games with people. Anyway, I hope we have a good week next week. Peace.